Hello again, and welcome back to the Slow Flowers Show. I'm Deborah Prinzing. This is episode 576. Today's episode has been a long time coming. I first met WilMor Farms Flowers owners Rita and Mike Williams of Metter, Georgia, in Charleston, South Carolina, when the Low Country flower growers invited me to speak at their Southern Flowers Conference in August of 2018. These flower growers arrived at the conference by motorcycle, a fact that really impressed me. I knew they were the cool kids. Theirs is a family owned agricultural enterprise rooted deep in history. Wilmore Farms is based on land that has been on Rita's side for 9 generations. You'll hear more about that in our conversation, as well as how what started as a hobby farm has grown into a diversified, viable, and sustainable floral operation. Day in and day out, Wilmore Farms tags Slow Flower Society on social media, ensuring that we stop and check out the beautiful flowers that they grow and sell. It gives me a good sense of what they're doing, and I always feel connected to these longtime Slow Flowers members. Launched in 2015, Wilmore Farms takes its name from Mike's surname, Williams, and Rita's maiden name, Morgan. With 4 children, this is truly a multi-generational project that you'll find inspiring. We recorded this conversation in mid-August, and I loved seeing rows of all the delicious blooms on our virtual tour, as well as some of the farming techniques and efficiencies that they have developed through trial and error. Let's jump right in and get started and meet Rita and Mike Williams. I'll share our sponsor thank yous at the end of the show. Hi, everybody. I am so excited to introduce Rita and Mike Williams of Wilmore Farms, and they're going to give us a little tour today. So I'm going to minimize my screen and turn it over to Rita and Mike. You're in your golf cart, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, welcome, and thanks so much for joining me. We haven't seen each other in person since when was I in the South? 2017 or so?
Yes, over at in South Carolina at the Low Country Growers, their symposium.
Yes, the Southern Flowers Symposium. And you guys rode your motorcycle bike there, right?
Yes, we did.
I was so impressed with that. Okay, well, give everyone a little introduction. You said you had a little bit of a disclaimer, which I think every flower farmer who's listening to this will love you more for what you want to say because you teased it.
Well, I'm Rita Williams and my husband Mike Williams, and along with our 4 children, we are WilMor Farms Flowers. And so before we start the farm tour, I always say this when people visit the farm is no judgment. You can't pass any judgment. We have 4 children and life just happens to us. We didn't go into any debt with the flower farm. So because of that, we just used what was here. This is my grandparents' farm. And so we still use a lot of their old equipment and gates and we just make do with what we have. So it's not pretty at all, but it's functional and it works for us. But I just wanted to throw that out there.
Okay. Well, does she do that all the time, Mike?
Yes.
It's sort of the corresponding, to me as a gardener, the corresponding apology is, it looked so great last week, but I just haven't had time to weed this week. So
Yeah, well, I guess like you said, everybody can say that, I guess.
Well, and
Yes.
the other thing I need to say before we start is we cut and made bouquets for Whole Foods today. And so the fields are not as abundant as they were this morning. But we have got things in all different stages. So the flower farmers that are out there will understand for sure.
Absolutely. We don't want to see color in the field. We want to see money in your wallet.
That's right. That's
Yes.
right.
We do have color in the cooler, so we can show you
Yeah,
that.
we'll show
Yes.
you the cooler.
Yes. Okay. So tell me where Metter is that how you pronounce it? Metter, Georgia? Where you are in Georgia?
We're southeast Georgia. We're about an hour or so from Savannah.
Okay.
West of Savannah.
Okay. Okay, great. Well, are you going to drive around, or what can you show us from where you are here?
We'll probably walk.
Okay.
Walk.
Good.
You think?
Now we're recording this at 7 p.m. your time.
Correct.
What's the weather like right now?
So we're actually, believe it or not, in a little cold spell for us, which is kind of ridiculous. We were low 80s, and the mornings have been 60s. So right now, I'm thinking mid 70s probably. So it's actually very pleasant, which is not typical for
It's
us.
pleasant for mid-August for sure.
Yes, and pleasant for the farmers and the flowers, probably.
Yeah. So I hope I am videoing. I'm having kind of some issues as far as showing you what I want to show you. Do you
Okay.
see the white
Row cover there?
row there?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So let me talk about this, and I will actually send a little video for the show notes. We use this biodegradable mulch as a weed barrier. We use it behind the tractor, and it has been so wonderful for us. Not everything gets planted in it, but most everything does. Sunflowers, a lot of times we don't, just because we grow so many sunflowers and we're in a hurry. But the things that are going to last longer, not our one-hit wonders, what we call them, gets planted in that, and that has really saved our labor tremendously.
I've never heard of biodegradable row cover. Is it kind of just like a plastic type of material, but it breaks down?
It is. It's corn based, and so when you get through with cutting or harvesting that row, you just take the tiller and you till it into the soil.
Wow.
It's wonderful. We tried doing the landscape fabric method, and we about got a divorce over it. I mean, it just really was not good for us. It's so hot here, and that was a problem. And then uh, uh, what was it? Fire ants were the problem, and then having
Mm,
to bring it up.
mm. Yeah,
Anyway, so it did not
I
work
like
for
it.
us. I know a lot of farmers really like it, but it did not work for us.
Right, right. So tell me what the one-hit wonders are. Like what crops would go in that?
So sunflowers, for instance,
Oh, okay.
we can start walking that way. And
Okay,
so
great.
this will be our sunflowers that we'll be cutting on in the next 2 to 3 weeks. We grow our sunflowers really close together to actually keep them from getting those huge heads that sunflowers usually do.
Mhm.
Because we found in our bouquets, the really big sunflowers took up the whole bouquet sleeve, and it was hard to get the other flowers that we wanted to in that. So we grow them very close together, and we just get about 3 to 4 inch diameter faces, and they just work really well in our bouquets.
So those lush green rows of the sunflowers that are like maybe 12, 15 inches tall, those are in the white mulch,
So these right here are not in the
okay.
mulch, but
Okay.
But there is
we
another
will show
area.
you some in a little bit.
Okay.
We're actually planting more and more, even the sunflowers in mulch
Wow.
this summer. So these particular group is not, but we have some more that we'll show you later that are. So we're
Okay.
pretty much in our lower field, which I don't know how much you can see.
I can see all of it. It's gorgeous.
Okay,
Wow.
I'm trying to kind of hold it up, but it's
You're
crooked.
good.
Sorry.
Until your arm gets tired. Let's
Anyway, we'll walk down there in a second. But most everything we're planting and have been for the last I don't know, month or two. So we got like some celosia right here, and it's in the
Mhm.
white mulch.
Mhm. Wow.
Actually, we missed some celosia. Can you see that, Deborah?
Yes, I can.
You can
Yeah.
see
So
that, and then
you're
do you
just
see the
poking
celosia?
yeah, do you just poke holes in that material and then
Yep,
just
you can poke
prick it
holes in it. It's very thin. So
easy to plant in then, huh?
it's thin. It's kind of interesting because as thin as it is, you would think that it would not be able to be pulled behind a tractor. So like I don't know, can you see it up close?
Yeah. Oh, I see. So you're saying you would think because it's thin it might tear.
Yeah, like can you see my finger?
Yes, I can.
You
Yeah.
can like you
Wow.
see that?
Yeah. Just
It's
pop it.
very thin when you're planting in it, but you can pull it behind a tractor with no trouble.
Wow, that's
And
great.
it pulls real tight. Well, like the one we just showed you,
Mhm.
it pulls
Yeah.
real tight and it makes a nice bed space.
Yeah.
So,
Keep all those weeds out. That's truly amazing. Can you just mention where you buy it? Is it easy to find?
oh yeah, so you can get it. I get it from Berry Hill Irrigation.
Okay.
Now, I think there's other suppliers of it, but that's where I get it from. And it's just you have to buy it as what's the actual? I want to say Biotello, but I don't know if it's Biotello or not. I want to say it's Biotello, but it's black on the bottom and white on the top.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy it solid black if you wish as well, but obviously for warmer climates, it's
The
better
white
to
is
do the white
better.
on the top.
Yeah.
So
Maybe I'll get the link from you, and we'll add it to the show notes
and
too.
you and you can get it like in 3 foot, 4 foot, and 5 foot widths, I think.
Like, how much acreage do you guys have?
Yeah, about 1.5 acres.
It looks
not
like
much really.
It
In the
looks
scope
so
of...
much. It looks so vast. I'm sure you're like, no more. 1.5 acres is enough.
We are kind of at that point for sure.
Wow.
So this is just a row. Let's see. Can't tell if I'm showing you. So we've
I'm
got a row
seeing
of
it.
cosmos that we're just starting to cut on. Again, we cut so much today for Whole Foods that
that's amazing.
am I showing it to you?
Yes, I see that pretty cosmos.
Yeah.
And the celosia were gorgeous. And then what do you have behind there? Is that
so that's ageratum.
Oh, ageratum, okay.
And that's just getting started for us. In the past we haven't had a whole lot of luck with ageratum. But this year, are you seeing it?
Yes, it's such a vivid, beautiful, like lavender blue. I love it.
It is. And you have so few lavender colors of flowers that it's just nice when you have it.
So what do you think is the secret to maybe having success this year?
Well, we planted it in the biodegradable fabric. And so I think that helped. And then we planted a little later. A lot of times we would normally plant it like in April. And this time we planted it a little later. So I think that helped. We have some more celosia. This is probably one of my favorite. This is the Kramer's Burgundy.
Oh, wow.
It has such a nice color to it.
And you're getting such long stems on it. Jeez.
Yeah, they kind of get crazy for sure.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
That's a feather.
And so this row is the marigolds that we hammered today.
Okay.
We grow a lot of marigolds. They're great for the grocery store bouquets. Sunflowers, marigolds, and celosia are our big three for the market or the grocery store bouquets. And zinnias. We grow a lot of zinnias too.
Yeah. And there's something I learned from you when we met at the Southern Flower Symposium. I don't know what the context was, but I've never forgotten it. And you were talking about Rudbeckia triloba being a great flower because it allows you to it kind of becomes the matrix for a bouquet.
Yes, and actually you're seeing our triloba right now, and it is on its way out. We've been cutting on it for about a month now, and we probably have maybe 2 more weeks left that we can harvest some from. But it is so great. It's my favorite filler for the summer for sure.
So far we've seen all annual field crops, right? Is that the core of Wilmore?
Besides the triloba, it's a perennial for us.
Oh, it is. Oh,
it is. Yep, it is. And I have to say that is one mistake. And so any flower farmer that's out there and you're just starting, make sure to get onto the perennial game early. Had we known that we would be where we're at when we started, we would have invested in perennials a lot earlier. So that's something that I regret. But I hope that each year we can add more and more to our perennials.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just like your labor. You save your labor savings to have perennials.
Oh yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So let's see. We'll come here to the deer fence. So when we first started out, we were a hobby farm. We truly were. We wanted our children to learn how to work and how to go to market and talk to adults and make change and that sort of thing. We had no idea that this would actually become a source of revenue, and actually one of our children wants to do this for a living. So we had no idea how that was going to happen. But when we started getting kind of serious about it, we knew we needed to protect things a little better. So we put up a deer fence. This is from Deer Busters.
Wow.
Let Mike talk about it because he knows. I'll record you.
Well, like she said, it's from Deer Busters. The particular one we have is a 7.5 foot which is kind of the minimum for deer protection. But you can get them an 8 foot. You can get them shorter than 7.5 too, but
Sure.
7.5 is probably as low as you'd want to go. And we've got almost our entire operation surrounded with the deer fence. We do have one, we call it our top field, and it's not fenced currently, but it will be fenced, I hope, this winter.
Wow.
So, but
That's
it's
a
been
big
really good.
investment.
I mean, it was pretty easy to put up, and it's been durable.
And in the grand scheme of pricing, it was relatively cheap.
Yes, for high fence, it's very cheap compared to other high fence methods. So
Is it is the post metal and then the mesh
it is. So
plastic?
the post actually fits into a sleeve. So you actually pound sleeves into the ground, and then you put the post into the sleeve. So you actually could pull this post. So I could pull this post out of the ground if I wanted to,
Right.
but it sits down in a 2 foot sleeve.
So you put all those sleeves in the perimeter line that you wanted first,
correct.
and then you
So you
popped
just put the
everything else
sleeves in with a sledgehammer. That's really the hardest part of it, is putting the sleeves in.
Yeah.
So you put the sleeve in, and then you just feed the post, and then the fence. I mean, a good portion of this I did on my own, but
wow.
But you can, with 2 people, you could do a pretty big section in a pretty short period of time. It's pretty easy to put up.
So when you mentioned wanting to kind of making that transition from hobby to serious, when was that? Like how did that? What inspired that to happen? I mean, obviously your flowers are beautiful, so people responded positively. But how long ago did
Well,
that
I think it
happen?
was just more of like like she said, we kind of did it. Honestly, the first year, it was literally, we threw seed in the ground. Like, it was really that, like, I think we tore up the ground a little bit, but we threw seed in the ground, and
That
then
technical, right?
right, and then a couple months later, we had flowers, and we were kind of like, okay, what do we do now? We didn't have anything else planted behind it because we didn't even, we weren't thinking that far ahead. So I called a florist friend of mine and said, hey, we have flowers. Would you be interested in buying them? And she said yes. And thankfully,
and actually, you know her, Deborah, Christy Halsey with Colonial House of Flowers.
Oh yeah.
Christy actually bought our very first flowers we ever did.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that was,
wow.
And then the next year it was kind of like, okay, let's see what we can do. We still didn't, so like we didn't have a cooler. We didn't really have anything. I mean, so we were just like, what section do we want to try to do? And what flowers do we want to try to grow? We still didn't really know about succession planting. So we're kind of like, we're just learning as we go, sort of.
Sure. Yeah.
We had
Hands
been
on,
to,
like you created your own system to teach yourselves just by
basically,
doing
and we
it.
had been to a couple of the ASCFG conferences. And so that, and with some help from some other people, we've grown from a land perspective. We've actually, I think we've increased, now 5 times. I think this winter, I think, was our 5th time.
Wow.
So we've just added on and added on and added on. We've added irrigation. We finally got a well just for our irrigation. We've added some tunnels, and it's just kind of grown and grown. I mean, we got into Whole Foods. That was kind of a process to get into Whole Foods, but we did that 3 years ago?
19.
And
before COVID, then.
Yes.
That's really good, huh?
Before COVID.
Right.
But I will tell you, COVID actually helped us. Our sales went through the roof. And I think it was because, or at least my take on it, flowers were a fairly inexpensive way for people to feel good.
Yeah.
And they were stuck in their homes, and they needed something to make them feel good. And so we really saw a huge increase in our sales during the 2 years of COVID.
Well, I've heard that from other people too, and it seems like it hasn't. I mean, I'm guessing that it hasn't slumped off since.
No, not
really.
Mm-mm.
And as far as like the stores are concerned, we could do more stores right now. We're actually we're sort of in the process right now of just figuring out, like, how
how
big
to expand it.
we want it to be, because
Well,
we don't know.
yeah, it's a
We just don't
risk.
know where to go right now, because the Whole Foods, again, for where we're at, we've got a good opportunity to do as kind of as much as we want to bite off, and we're just trying to decide what that actually is.
Mike, what market is that? I mean, or is there a distribution center near you? How are
There
you
is well,
working
there
with
is a
that?
distribution center. So we currently are delivering to Savannah. That's our store,
Okay.
but we are going to, I think, test the waters with another couple stores coming up actually this month.
Wow.
And so again, we have to decide if we get, I think if we go beyond like 3 or 4 stores, we will just go to the distribution center. So the
Because
distribution center is about 3 hours from us, and
you're individually delivering to.
we're just delivering right now. Correct. We're just delivering to the store.
Yeah.
And then if these other stores we're going to deliver straight to the store. It's great that you can take 10 stores of material to it, but there's also, you got to worry about the packaging. There's other things involved with it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
I'm not saying we're not going to do that. We just haven't decided. We've kind of crossed a lot of barriers this year with kind of the labor thing, and we figured out some more stuff, I think, this year. But we still don't really know what we want our next step to be, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like the fact that we can have a relationship with the stores when you deliver to the stores. Um, uh, we've met the staff there, and they are really champion supporters, cheerleaders for our product. And if we went to the distribution center, then we would lose a little of that.
You'd be more like
So
just another commodity.
yeah, and so again, one day it might be the best bet just from a business decision, but for right now, I just really like being able to have that one-on-one with the store.
So let's just talk about how that happened, because prior to branching out into wholesale, you were primarily selling at your local farmers market. Is that correct?
Correct. So so again, I'll have to brag on. Let me get a better something to look at in the back. We're walking around them.
I love it.
So this is a row of flamingo feather.
Oh,
So
wow.
we use this as our kind of our. It just adds such interest to bouquets.
The
Uh,
dark
yeah,
stem.
it
Yeah,
just
it's gorgeous.
adds to it. Um,
It looks
but
tropical in a way, it
yeah,
has
it kind
that
of does.
exotic
Yeah, it
vibe.
does.
Yeah.
But back to what you were asking. So, David Gerald, he is the flower guy at Whole Foods in Savannah, and he had seen us at Precise Farmers Market, which is the farmers market in Savannah. And he reached out and said, I really would like to have your flowers in our store. And I'll be honest, had David not been such a supporter and pushing us through the process, we may have given up.
Mm,
It's just a lot, which now looking back, it makes me feel good about our product, the fact that it could meet all of their requirements.
right.
And it also makes me feel good about the food that I buy when I go to Whole Foods, because I know what those products have had to go through to be allowed to be sold in their store.
Hmm. For
So
anybody,
it was
so for anybody who's interested, like, what were the biggest hurdles that you had to
it is
overcome?
just a paperwork nightmare.
I've
And
heard that.
just stay the course, just stay with it. I've heard there's a flower farmer in Atlanta that's reached out to me, and it sounds like the process has gotten better, that it's streamlined some. So I do hope that that's the case.
Yeah, we actually did it before Amazon bought them. So maybe.
Yeah, we did it before Amazon bought Whole Foods.
Yeah.
So anyway, I hear that it's better, but my advice to anybody is it's worth it. Just hang in there and just keep trudging along and really make a contact at the store. Again, David was just such a cheerleader for us, and he just made sure that we stayed on task, and got in there.
Well, it's sort of like everything. It boils down to relationships, and
Yeah, and
you,
that's life, right?
yeah, yeah. So you're still selling at farmers market then for like closer to home?
We every week we do Statesboro Farmers Market. Let me get to a different section. Every week we do Statesboro Farmers Market, which is about 30 miles from us. That's our closest market.
Okay.
And then we try 2 to 3 times a month to go down to Forsyth and Savannah. We've just got such a good customer base down there. I hate not to go down there. We just made some good relationships.
So they're waiting for you, and if you don't come, they start messaging you, right?
Yes, they do. They do. And thankfully, I can say, "Hey, I just delivered to Whole Foods. Swing by there."
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Isn't that amazing?
But it's still not the same.
No, but that's so interesting that like the fact that you're at Whole Foods is not taking away from the customers who want to come
No,
buy it
not
direct.
a bit, not a
Yeah.
bit. And I think people, you've got your market people who like going to the market. That's just a whole different kind of subculture of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they like they love our product, but it's more an experience. That's what
Yeah.
they do on Saturday mornings.
Yeah.
And which I think is wonderful.
So, how many of your children are now involved? I know you've told me that I think your daughters does all your social media. So,
Well, she did.
Congratulations to that.
Well, unfortunately, I've lost her. We actually just took her to University of Georgia on Friday,
Oh
and
wow.
so she has spread her wings and she has flown.
Okay.
And so I'm pretty devastated over that. Happy for her, sad for me.
Yeah.
And so it will be me again on social media. So you will see there will probably be a drop off.
We'll share the love back
when it comes to social media. So Mary Jen's gone, and she did my market. She did one of my markets for me too. So that's another kind of hole that I've having to try to fill.
Right.
And then we have another daughter, Josie, who's 16, and Josie is who will take over the flowers. That's what she wants to do for her living, and in adulthood. And I wish she could be here with us today, but as children are busy with school and activities, she's not here. But she knows so much. It's amazing that a 16-year-old. I mean, she runs it. She truly can. She knows when to plant, where to plant, when to harvest, what bouquets need to be made. Like, she can run it from start to finish.
Sounds like she kind of learned it along with you and Mike. Like,
she did.
From the beginning.
She's been with it every step of the way. And then our son is 14, and him and his daddy are kind of the muscle. They do the tractor work and driving T-post and putting up fence and all the things that I just don't want to do.
That's great.
And Mason doesn't. He does it. Him and Morgan, who's my baby, she's 12. They work because they want to earn some money. They don't do it because they have no desire to be flower farmers, but it's a good way for them to earn money.
Sure. It kind of achieved what your original goal was to create a family business.
Yep. It actually has. Yes. So we're very blessed. And then this year I found 2 Hispanic ladies that are helping me that have just been wonderful. We really had some labor issues, and it was never stable. And this year it is stable, and they've learned so much, and they enjoy the flowers. And so I've been real blessed. It really is our first year of having stable labor help.
And wow, that's amazing. Yes. And is that also because do one of you work off farm? I can't remember exactly.
Yes. Mike has a landscape company, and so he really is just after evenings and weekends help, because he's full time. And I'm a nurse by education and stopped nursing a year and a half ago.
Wow.
And that has been nice to be able to focus, because I've never really been able to focus on the flowers prior to that.
Oh, I had no idea.
Even with that, I still needed more help.
So I'm just curious. You mentioned this was at your grandparents' farm. How long have you lived there? Did you was this sort of something that you lived there before you had kids, or did having a growing family kind of prompt you to move there?
Well, when we got married, we knew we wanted to move here.
Mm.
And so this land's real special. So my ancestor, John Deacle, he acquired this land, and our piece of land is part of his original that he secured as a land grant from the Queen of England in the early 1700s.
Wow.
And it has the land has continued in our family, and my children are the ninth generation from him on the land.
Oh my goodness,
And
that's
so that's really,
crazy.
really special to me, that we've been able to maintain it in the family for that long.
And other
Um,
people have other generations that have farmed, it sounds like, on the land. Was it
yes.
mainly to just feed their families, or was it
Well,
more
my,
for
my
business?
grandfather, prior to that, yes. And then my grandfather, he earned his living as a farmer. He grew tobacco and cotton and soybeans and peanuts.
Wow.
And then once he passed away, we've continued to rent out the farmland to a local farmer. And so the bulk of our land is in traditional row crops.
Wow.
And we have cut out this, I don't know, probably all of this together. They were not growing on all of it, but this little area where we could grow on it is probably 3 acres. And for us, for the flowers.
Wow. Well, so interesting that you have, well, obviously Mike's skills as a landscape designer or a landscape installer in that business probably came in quite
Yes.
handy. You can grow
Well,
anything too, Mike, right?
he has a degree in horticulture from the University of Georgia, so he already knew, like he had some knowledge coming into it, and then especially
Yeah.
his knowledge of irrigation. And tractor, we had a tractor, which is huge. A lot of people don't have tractors when they start off, so we had equipment already, and so all of those were just kind of bonuses,
Oh my
getting us started.
goodness. Oh my gosh. And then the design that you do with the floral design, do you think that that's like your inner creative, tapping your inner creative artist that you hadn't been able to do when you were nursing, or is it just something that you know you guys figured out together?
Well, I'll be honest with you. The bouquets are assembly line bouquets. I am not a designer. I have no desire to be a designer. My love is growing flowers.
Mm-hmm.
So our bouquets are not, there's not, I mean, like, it's about a minute that a bouquet, from start to finish. And what I have found is if you have good flowers, it really doesn't matter, you know. And either the person's going to buy your bouquet and they're just going to plop it in a vase because they don't care, or they're going to spend their time themselves designing how they want the bouquet to
Mm-hmm.
look at home.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have found that we just end up getting frustrated at ourselves and each other if we really try to design anything. And so
That's so
that's
interesting.
definitely that is different for us, because I know a lot of flower farmers are they have the design element. They do weddings, they do events, and at this point I have no desire to expand that way.
Mm. That is so interesting, Rita, because that saying, like the flower's so beautiful it arranges itself.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of proving that. Like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
come up
it's
with
true. It really
yeah.
is. And for the longest time, our children made the bouquets.
Mm-hmm.
Josie still makes the bouquets now, but the other ones have gotten so busy that they're not able to help me. But years ago, I mean, there was little kids making those bouquets. So it really is all about the flowers.
Oh my goodness, I love it. So that means your recipe is constantly changing
It
because
is. So,
you're
like, for
cutting
instance,
what's available, right?
right. Like, for instance, this morning when we made for Whole Foods, after we finished cutting, I looked in the cooler and what we had. And so then it was 3 of this, 2 of this, it changes from the volume of what we have, and somewhat the colors, but, our bouquets are just really, really colorful, and they always have been, and full of sunflowers. We've become known for that.
Yep.
It does change based on the volume of flower that I have. But we really don't do a lot in regards to certain palettes and that sort of thing.
Well, I think vivid is definitely your palette because
Yeah.
that what people are drawn to, and if you're going more retail,
Yep.
and then pastels kind of don't have I suppose you have a few pastels tucked
I do,
in here or
especially in
there.
the
Yeah.
spring.
Mhm.
The spring we definitely have the lighter colors, but summer is just full of color. And then as we go into the fall, we'll have a lot of just the oranges and rust and burgundies
Mhm.
that just
Mhm.
just it's nice to see how the seasons change
Yeah.
naturally.
Now, are you guys growing dahlias at all? Or is that
That's funny.
a bad question?
So I'll tell you, that's my nemesis.
No guilt, right? We said that. No guilt.
Every year we try.
Okay.
And I can get 100 or so nice blooms, but I want like thousands.
Yes.
And I have not found the recipe yet for us here.
Okay.
I have tried to do it counter seasonal like a lot of people do. And that did not work because we still do get cold here, you know, and I didn't have a way to protect them. We've tried growing them under lights. We've tried growing them with shade cloth. This year we are just growing them out in the full sun and just trying to keep them alive through our heat and see what happens come fall.
When things maybe cool off a little bit.
Yep. Yeah. But they hate our heat. They hate it.
Well, yeah. And I remember that when we were at that conference, our mutual friend, Rita Anders, came from Cuts of Color, and we were all blown away about how she's growing winter dahlias. But
she's amazing.
She has the structures. She's got a different setup than you.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's amazing. Like Rita's my life goal, you know. And whenever we get together, we laugh. We call each other, we're Dose Ritas. And
yes, I remember that.
She has been such a mentor to me, especially in the beginning. Like she would text me and say, Rita, I'm doing this today. Are you doing this today?
That's lovely.
She what you see today really is on the back of Rita Anders.
Well, we had her guest present at the Slow Flowers member meetup this past spring, and it was specifically to tell people about her winter growing processes. So I'll have to send you a link to that.
Oh, that would be great.
I know you never have time to get on those meetings with us, but
I'm going to.
No, this is the next best thing. Well, what the reason I brought up the dahlias is I was just kind of curious what your end of season crops are. Is it just that the sunflowers and celosia just keep going until you have a frost?
We do. We keep planting. We try to make it to Thanksgiving. Sometimes a frost will get us prior to Thanksgiving. Sometimes a hurricane will get us prior to Thanksgiving. But we do plant with the end goal of Thanksgiving, and it really is just our summer. We sunflowers. We do switch. Actually, we can show you these right here. So this is our first group. That will be the Pro Cut Reds.
Okay.
And then the ones behind it will be the Moulin Rouges.
So you're kind of going into the darker colors.
Yeah. Our customers love those. You put a couple of those in with the nice Vincent's Choice, and that is some kind of bouquet. And then, of course, we'll still have zinnias. We'll have Gomphrena. We'll have basil. We'll have mahogany hibiscus. I've got it started up in the upper field right now. It's a great filler in our bouquets. So it's just we shift. It's essentially the same flower. We just shift to darker colors.
And these sunflowers are planted in the fabric. Can you see that?
Yes. Oh, so, yes.
And amazing. Actually, most everything in this lower section,
great.
Almost everything is planted in the fabric.
So when you talked about the close placement of the seeds or of the flowers, how many inches apart are the sunflowers?
So right now we've got all of our sunflowers on 6-inch spacing.
Okay. Wow.
And like these are zinnias, and they've been chopped off. Like we've already pruned them. But these will be really pushing strong here in the next couple of weeks.
So you'll get the next flush then.
The next flush. We've been cutting on an area in the top field, which we might make it up there, but the top field we've been working on it now for about a month. So here's some Gomphrena. Now this is not in fabric, but it is weeded pretty well. I don't know if you see it okay.
Yeah, it's beautiful. That's a great color too. So is it still on a 6-inch grid, even though you don't have?
These are all 6-inch. Yep, we pretty much have everything.
That's lovely.
I mean, that's worked pretty good for us so far. So yeah, it's kind of if it's not broke, you don't fix it kind of thing.
So I noticed that you have some structures way in the distance. Are those just hoop houses or high tunnels?
Yeah. So up there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can you see those?
I can. Yeah.
So we've got 3 smaller ones and 1 big one. And the big one right now is kind of our main area for we call them our babies, but all of our transplants.
Okay.
So we seed them and then they go in there. So that we'll go up there in a second, but it's full of stuff that needs to be planted.
Yeah, that'd
And
be
then
great.
the other 3 are just kind of a mess right now. We've got to get them cleaned up for fall. Because we use our tunnels mainly just for season extension.
Got it.
So,
So
we're not really.
You'll either
we have grown in them in the summer, but
probably gets too hot, right?
It's mainly the season extension stuff.
That's great. Well, before we wrap up, why don't you hop in your cart and take us over there, or if you don't have time, that's okay too.
Yeah, no, we can walk up there.
Sure that. So this is another. This one actually is flamingo feather. It's another celosia. Instead of having the purple tips, it has the white, and then as it gets older, it goes to like a blush color.
Yes.
Another really good filler or accent flower for us.
I'm shocked at how tall those stems are. That is amazing.
Yeah, those feathers get they when we're cutting them, they're usually in the 4 foot range or better. Beautiful. 4 to 5 foot probably.
And these were sunflowers we planted last week.
Yeah, those would be last week's sunflowers, and then just other areas that we're about to turn up, or we've turned up, and we got to keep working on them.
Wow. So, Mike, you come home from landscaping and put in a couple extra hours, and Rita keeps right up with you?
Yeah, I mean, usually in the evenings, I just do whatever I got to do. You know, sometimes it's whatever. I mean, sometimes I help with bouquets. Sometimes it's tractor work. Sometimes it's like spreading compost. We're about to walk up to a big pile of compost right now.
So that's something else that some people may want to know. So, every bed before we pull the plastic on or before we plant in it, it gets a layer of compost, and then a fertilizer, just an application of a general fertilizer.
Okay.
And then after that, we really do not fertilize.
It's an organic. This is organic compost. It's certified organic, and the fertilizer we use is organic as well.
Is WilMor Farms certified organic?
We are not certified organic, but we try to use OMRI rated chemicals. So we use like the neem oils and just anything that's more of the approved, OMRI rated. But no, we are not certified organic.
I said we're regulated by Whole Foods as far as what we can use, and so we have to follow their recommended list.
It sounds like they didn't require it though, and I think from what I've learned from other flower farmers is just it doesn't necessarily add up, because there's so many other regulations for certified organic that are maybe easier for food growers than flower growers, and you're so diversified.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we certainly try to use the practices of it, but
yeah,
it's it's a long process to get certified, so I don't know if we ever will or not.
We don't grow anything edible, and what we found that's important to the customer is that it's local.
Yeah. I was just going to say, your brand already has an excellent reputation, and your customers know you're local, and they know you're affiliated with Whole Foods, so they've got this sort of sense that you're doing good things, and I applaud you for it. I mean, I think just trying to maintain those practices is hard enough.
Yeah. So these are some of the babies. Can you see these okay?
Yeah.
So
what are they?
There's some marigolds and celosia and basil and gomphrena and sunflower.
No, I was just gonna say, it's like you use what you have. You have pallets.
Yeah,
they're sitting on pallets and buckets.
I'm impressed.
I mean, it's not the greatest looking thing, but
it works. The structure's beautiful, and it's doing the job. That's wonderful.
It's doing the job. This is an old trailer, but the good thing about this trailer is we have a lot of seed trays on it. We can move it quickly. So hey,
you just haul it out to the field to transplant.
So Deborah, this is Josie.
That's Josie. That's our.
Say hi to Deborah.
Hi, Josie. The future generation. I love
She's the future.
She's the future.
She's not. She doesn't really like this kind of thing, but she is the future. So. So
Okay.
maybe one day you'll be talking to her on your
I would love
podcast.
it. I would love it. Let's plan on that, okay? I'm serious. That's so inspiring. Little did you know when you had this idea that it was just going to blow up and be such a amazing change in your lives to have this beautiful flower
Yeah.
farm.
Yep.
You're right.
So we'll walk you over to the barn real quick and the cooler.
Great. That sounds great. And then we'll say goodbye. For sure, when we post this interview, I'll get some extra photos from your feed. Your flowers are packaged so beautifully, and you're using like a branding on, like a label or a sticker to brand
Yeah,
your bouquets,
we've
right?
got a stamp on there that we've used, and so now we kind of started that several years ago, and we started it, and people are sort of just used to it now.
I love it. I
So
love the business name, and obviously it's a play on Williams, right?
right for the Williams and Morgan.
Mm.
Morgan is Rita's maiden name, and one of our children's name, Morgan.
Oh,
This is
yeah.
our old barn. Can you see it?
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That we've kind of uh, rebuilt and changed and
It's
added on
impressive.
to, and this serves as our main like processing facility.
Okay,
And
so this is where you're making your bouquets.
it is, and
Mhm.
so it's about 150 years old.
Wow.
It was about to fall down when we moved out here, and so we've had to do a fair amount of work. I know it still looks rough, but from where it's come from, it's come a long ways.
Hey, you used what you had. Back to that story. Is this your cooler then on the outside, or do you
It
have? Oh, you
is.
have a
So
couple.
there's one cooler here. Can you see that
Mhm.
one?
Yeah.
That was our very first cooler. I got it out of a Subway that they had torn down.
Oh my goodness.
And
Perfect price, right?
yeah. So we used it, and it was fine for us for the first couple years. And then I don't know. Can you see?
Oh wow, that's gorgeous inside, you guys.
So
You've
this
got
is
it.
kind of the structure. There's the tables.
So we
Oh
truly,
my.
it's like an assembly line when we make bouquets.
Yep.
We put buckets on the tables and we just go at it. I have a little whiteboard over on the wall, and that's where the recipe of the day gets written. And
That's wonderful.
that's what we do.
I love all the old windows, but you have the cafe lights, so I could imagine you could throw a great workshop or party in there if you
Yeah.
went that route.
We actually had my sister actually got married in here
Oh my goodness, I
a
bet it
couple
was
years
so
ago. It was
dreamy.
kind of funny.
Yeah.
So this is the back of an old truck. That's an old reefer truck, and we're
Okay.
not affiliated with that company. But we just haven't. We're
You
gonna paint
haven't
it one day. But anyway,
You're gonna put the
so
Wilmore logo up there pretty soon, right?
yeah, we'll have something. But we kind of built on this section this year, actually this winter, and we put this cooler used to be on the other side of the barn, but it was kind of a hassle. So
Mm.
now we've put it here.
Yeah, you're like
The
walk
door.
right in from the production
Yeah, you
area
can
there.
walk right in from the production, which is very handy. And then
Oh, so
so
practical.
the cooler is on, but I'll try to take you in here.
Oh, that's okay. We'll just love to take a peek. And all these babies are going out the door tomorrow, it looks
So
like.
there's some of our bouquets for Whole Foods.
Oh my goodness. Those are amazing.
And can you see okay?
Yes.
So
So
we
are you
got
putting, yeah,
kind
you
of these
have,
right here we're delivering in the morning. And
okay.
then we've got stuff that we cut today. There's a lot of
Which,
sunflowers and
and,
marigolds.
and you'll make those tomorrow into new bouquets.
Yeah, these will be processed for our next thing in a couple days.
Wow. So
So
you built this from a reefer truck, and then did you have to put a Coolbot in it, or did it come with a
no,
refrigeration
we had
unit?
to put it had this in it, which is just a normal cooler unit, but we didn't do that. We just used the CoolBot. So the CoolBot is, can you see it?
Oh, yes, it's fabulous.
So there's the AC, the window unit, and then the CoolBot itself.
Yep.
So
It does the trick.
we put it in here.
That's amazing.
And it's good. It'll run stuff down to about 40 degrees. We usually keep it between 40 and 42.
Mm,
And
perfect.
yeah, so
Love
that's
it.
our cooler.
Wow, what a great tour and visit. Rita knows that I've been bugging her to record an interview for a while. It's a bonus that you could join us, Mike, and what a team you guys make. I'm really inspired, and I know other people will be happy to have a little bit of a virtual visit to WilMor Farms. It's really, congratulations. I'm really impressed and inspired. I look forward to hearing what you decide to do as you grow in the future.
We see a lot of people who, I suppose I just want to say it's hard work. And I think a lot of people don't realize it, and then they get very discouraged. Um, and, you know, it's been 6 years and we still don't have it figured out. And so I suppose I just wanted to, if there's the people out there that are listening to this and they're ready to give up because they're so discouraged, just to encourage them not to, and that, you know, every failure that you experience, that's a learning process, and you know to do something different the next time.
That's a good attitude. And also you've decided what to specialize in. You've kind of stayed focused and stayed in your lane. You're not trying to try things that maybe like garden roses or something that just wouldn't do well in your region.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, but I know you're going to crack that nut with the dahlias. I am not sure how, but I want to hear the story when you tell me.
I'm not giving up.
Send me some photos. Okay, good.
We'll get it eventually, but for right now, what we're doing works for us. And like Rita said, I think the biggest, like with so many people, especially at the farmers market, you know, if we had a nickel for every time someone comes and offers to work for free and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I think people
because it would be so fun.
Yeah, I think people have the vision sometimes that, like, we just skip around and listen to music all day, and the flowers are so great. You know, it's like, and it's kind of like a fantasy world. And so when you actually have to get into it and realize how hard it is, it can be discouraging. It can be frustrating, especially where we live. It's very hot. It's very humid. It's just, sometimes it's brutal working conditions, but you got to keep going and you got to be persistent and, just try to, you're going to make mistakes, but we've made millions of mistakes and we continue to make them. And I think the worst part about it is, you know, I've used this analogy a lot where if you build a wall wrong, you can tear it down and build another wall. When you in this business and what we do, sometimes you have to wait a full 12 months to fix what you messed up. And that's really hard, but it's kind of the reality of the business. It's just, it is what it is. So you just try to learn from your mistakes and do the best you can and keep being persistent, or be, as we say around here, we are pathologically optimistic.
And you make a great team. I love it. Thank you both so much. This has been wonderful, and I really look forward to sharing it with the Slow Flowers community and beyond. And I hope to visit someday. I would love to come.
Yes, we'd love to have you.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Hey, thank you so much for joining me today and joining my visit to WilMor Farms, where we met Mike and Rita Williams. You can visit slowflowerspodcast.com to watch the replay video of today's conversation. Look for episode 576. I've also grabbed links to some of the resources that Mike discussed, including sources for the compostable mulch sheeting, the deer fencing, and their CoolBot system. Check it out. And I'm going to quickly thank our sponsors before we run out of time. We have to keep this under 60 minutes so we can post it to Instagram. This show is brought to you by slowflowers.com, the free online directory to more than 850 florists, shops, and studios who design with local, seasonal, and sustainable flowers, and to the farms that grow those blooms. It's the conscious choice for buying and sending flowers. And thank you to our lead sponsor, Farm Girl Flowers. Farm Girl Flowers delivers iconic burlap wrap bouquets and lush, abundant arrangements to customers across the U.S., supporting U.S. flower farms by purchasing more than $10 million of U.S.-grown fresh and seasonal flowers and foliage annually. Discover more at farmgrowflowers.com. Thank you to Longfield Gardens, which provides home gardeners with high-quality flower bulbs and perennials. Their online store offers plants for every region and every season, from tulips and daffodils to dahlias, caladiums, and amaryllis. Check out the full catalog at Longfield Gardens. That's longfield-gardens.com. Thank you to the Gardener's Workshop, which offers a full curriculum of online education for flower farmers and farmer florists. Online education is more important than ever, and you'll want to check out the course offerings at thegardenersworkshop.com. And thank you to Johnny's Selected Seeds, an employee-owned company that provides our industry with the best flower, herb, and vegetable seeds supplied to farms large and small, and even to backyard cutting gardens like mine. Find the full catalog of flower seeds and bulbs at johnnysseeds.com. The Slow Flower Show is a member-supported endeavor, and I value our loyal members and supporters like you. If you're new to our weekly show or our long-running podcast, check out all of our resources at slowflowersociety.com and consider making a donation to sustain Slow Flower's ongoing advocacy, education, and outreach activities. You can find the donate button in the column to the right at slowflowerspodcast.com. I'm Deborah Prinzing, host and producer of The Slow Flower Show and The Slow Flowers Podcast. Next week, you're invited to join me in putting more slow flowers on the table, one stem, one vase at a time. The content and opinions expressed here are either mine alone or those of my guests alone, independent of any podcast sponsor or other person, company, or organization. Thanks so much for joining us today, and I'll see you next